Welcome back to the Brahmin Word, and we are continuing to look at the life of King Saul. And here he is put to his first military test, but in so doing, is definitely shown that he is being a vessel for the glory of God. Now, again, we know how, if you know how the story of the passage of David and King Saul ends up, it does end up well, but at the start, it actually does start pretty okay. To be honest, it starts out pretty well, and here is a good example of that. Saul does not hesitate in the face of persecution, in the face of death, really, and he goes right into battle, trusting the Lord and being driven by the Spirit of the Lord as well. And he rallies the people around him in a way that is what a godly leader should do. Now, the context, of course, is the context. So let's get into that today. 1 Samuel chapter 11, we're going to look at the whole entire chapter today. So verses 1 through 15 is the whole chapter today. So let's start with verse 1. Then Nahash the Ammonite went up and besieged Jabesh-gilead. And all the men of Jabesh said to Nahash, "Make a treaty with us, and we will serve you." But Nahash the Ammonite said to them, "On this condition I will make a treaty with you, that I gouge out all your right eyes, and thus bring disgrace on all Israel." The elders of Jabesh said to him, "Give us 7 days' respite, that we may send messengers through all the territory of Israel. Then, if there is no one to save us, we will give ourselves up to you." When the messengers came to Gibeah of Saul, they reported the matter in the ears of the people, and all the people wept aloud. So Jabesh-gilead most likely was a city towards the eastern part of Israel and east of the Jordan River. It was really just this kind of not surprise attack, but Nahash comes out of nowhere and from Ammon, which is also east of Israel, and he wants to basically attack them. Jabesh-gilead wants to make a treaty, and which should be the first. Okay, I understand why they want to do that, but they should again have prayed to the Lord and asked, "What should we do?" But they do not do that. They want to make a treaty, and they were responded with, well, not very good terms. The terms are that, yeah, you can make a treaty with me. I'll spare your life, but all of the right eyes of the people will be gouged out. And not only will it bring disgrace on Jabesh-gilead, but it will reflect on all of Israel. That to me shows a couple things. First off, why the right eyes? The right side or the right hand were seen as positions of strength. So taking out the right eyes was not actually just random. It was to show that I am literally taking your strength from you, Israel. That is what Nahash is trying to get across. So you have that on one hand. The other hand is that they are really bringing together the idea that one city of Israel really does reflect the rest of Israel too. Now, obviously, every city is different, of course, but they understand the unity within the country of Israel. And so to attack one city should be to attack all of Israel. And so the people of Jabesh-gilead, specifically their elders, though, respond with this idea, hey, give us 1 week, and hopefully our fellow Israelites will come and save us. Now, why would Nahash, why would he even allow this 7 days of respite? Most likely just pride. It doesn't tell us exactly here how many people there were in this army led by Nahash of Ammonites, but they eventually do go up against 330,000 of Israelites. They go up against them. So my guess is probably a fairly big army. That's probably what the size is. And so this is a threat for sure. And My guess is Nahash probably thinks to himself, it's no big deal. We got this. Well, it finally gets to Gibeah, where King Saul is, the newly appointed King Saul, and now we get to verse 5. Now behold, Saul was coming from the field behind the oxen. And Saul said, "What is wrong with the people that they are weeping?" So they told him the news of the men of Jabesh. Some have asked, by the way, in verse 5, and really throughout this chapter, why Saul is just Saul and not King Saul. Most likely just because of the newness of his kingship. He is just getting started, so he has to almost deserve the title of king, which is, well, this chapter really helps with that. He has to show that he is deserving of not just the kingship, but to be a leader of the people of Israel. And one way to do that, especially in ancient Near Eastern culture, is either go to war or defend your country in war. And that is what Saul does here. So he asks, just trying to get some sort of news. They tell him everything. Now, verse 6. And the Spirit of God rushed upon Saul when he heard these words, and his anger was greatly kindled. He took a yoke of oxen and cut them in pieces and sent them throughout all the territory of Israel by the hand of the messenger, saying, "Whoever does not come out after Saul and Samuel, so shall it be done to his oxen." Then the dread of the Lord fell upon the people, and they came out as one man. So you have the Israelites who are being portrayed as very fearful in this moment, and so they need somebody to step up and to really take charge. And Saul, the king, does do this, but he has to really get them motivated in order to do that. And, well, he uses a very interesting tactic. He takes oxen and cuts them up and mails the pieces. Now, why does he do this? One, because oxen were a huge, valuable asset in any ancient Near Eastern culture. And so to say that, look, if we don't go and fight against Nahash and the Ammonites, then we are probably going to be defeated at some point in time, which they will either take your oxen or your livelihood and destroy it. So I am trying to get this point across. We need to step up now and go and stop this force before they get to the rest of the country of Israel. So that is, I think, what the point of the cutting up of the oxen was for. And then, of course, in verse 6, you have the point that the Holy Spirit of God rushes upon Saul and is the one that is going to guide him in all of this. And then the dread of the Lord fell upon the people. So the Lord is certainly behind this, along with the leadership, or really the Lord using the leadership of Saul. Verse 8, when he mustered them at Bezek, which is on the western side of the Jordan River, the people of Israel were 300,000, and the men of Judah 30,000. And they said to the messengers who had come, "Thus shall you say to the men of Jabesh-gilead, tomorrow, by the time the sun is hot, you shall have salvation." When the messengers came and told the men of Jabesh, they were glad. Therefore the men of Jabesh said, "Tomorrow we will give ourselves up to you, and you may do to us whatever seems good to you." And the next day Saul put the people in 3 companies, and they came into the midst of the camp in the morning watch, and struck down the Ammonites until the heat of the day. And those who survived were scattered, so that no 2 of them were left together. So verse 10 is a little interesting. Some have debated that this tomorrow we will give ourselves up to you, and you may do to us whatever seems good to you. It's interesting who that might be talking to. Based on the context of verse 9, you would assume that it's the Israelites, the other parts of Israel. And if that's the case, what are they actually saying? If the context is the case in verse 9, then really what it's really getting at is, hey, since you are coming to help us, we will do whatever we can to not just defend ourselves, but to be in gratitude for the help that you are giving, and we will do whatever you ask. So my guess, that's probably what it is. Some have thought that verse 10 is a rhetorical response to Nahash, kind of setting him up, thinking like, oh, well, clearly something's going on, and I'm going to beat the Israelites, or sorry, the people of Jabesh-gilead, tomorrow, the next day. And that does not happen. They completely destroy Nahash and the Ammonites to the point where even as they are being scattered, they are scattered completely. Not even two are gathered together as they flee the battle. So this is a massive, massive win for Saul. But what's really important actually follows directly after that. Verses 12 through 15. Verse 12. Then the people said to Samuel, "Who is it that said, 'Shall Saul reign over us?' Bring them in, that we may put them to death." So this is going back to the mockery that Saul faced at the end of chapter 10. If you remember, after he was proclaimed, there was some worthless fellows that said, "How can this man save us?" in chapter 10, verse 27. Which is interesting because then the very next thing that happens, or at least in this account, is Saul defeating the Ammonites and Nahash. And so the actions are backing up the point that Saul is supposed to be the king of Israel. So that is, they want to put to death those worthless fellows. And Saul, instead of giving in to ego and pride, he doesn't do that. Verse 13. But Saul said, "Not a man shall be put to death this day, for today the Lord has worked salvation in Israel." Great response. Perfect response. Not only does he not put to death other Israelites, but he does not stand firm in ego and in pride. He doesn't stand firm in stubbornness, bitterness, revenge. He doesn't do any of that, and he leaves the worthless fellows alone, basically ignores them, and then goes on to not just win this battle, but give credit to the Lord for saving them from this army of Ammonites. Great response, and a great point of godly leadership. Yes, don't get me wrong, there are so many people that come together. Like, let's say you have a great, with your local church, you put on this great event, or you go on a mission trip. There are so many different things that come together that have to make those things happen. And so many people come together to do that. But at the end of the day, all the credit goes to the Lord. And not just in ministry either. I mean, yes, there are so many people at work, wherever you work potentially. But as a believer, as a Christian, you and I know that the Lord is in control of everything that happens in every part of our day-to-day life. And so that's a great, great response from Saul. Then verse 14. Then Samuel said to the people, "Come, let us go to Gilgal, and there renew the kingdom." So all the people went to Gilgal, and there they made Saul king before the Lord in Gilgal. There they sacrificed peace offerings before the Lord, and there Saul and all the men of Israel rejoiced greatly. Now, you may be thinking to yourself, wait a second, didn't Samuel just anoint Saul as king in chapter 10, the first part of chapter 10, and then he was proclaimed as king in front of Israelites at the ending part of chapter 10? Yes. This idea here, Gilgal was seen as a very important city back in this time of Samuel. And so this is more seen as a religious ceremony, most likely, but also just to make the point clear that Saul is truly the first king of Israel, and his actions of stepping up in great leadership, in great courage and bravery back that up. And we see that, I think, here. So, with that being said, thanks for spending a little bit of time with me today as we continue to look at the life of King Saul. We will continue to look at King Saul's life, but next time we will see some cracks start to show in King Saul's life. So we will take a look at that on Thursday, and so I will see you then. Thanks.